I'm going to run through the steps for the Word review for formatting a document. So the first thing that you have been asked to do is to add 3 page breaks somewhere in the text of the file that you have opened up. So one of the things that you want to know about working with Word for the legal sector is that the focus is to use the tools in the most efficient way possible so that you are streamlining anything that you need to do in terms of creating documents. So that's what we're going to be working on in this course, is looking at certain tools and being really efficient in what we do. One of the things that people typically do when they want to put a piece of text on a new page or force a new page is they just put their cursor where they want to force the new page, and then they just hit enter a whole bunch of times. And this certainly results in giving you a second page, but the thing is, if you then have to go back and add data or text to the beginning of the document or later in the document, you're going to end up with a great big gap in the middle of your document that you have to go in and remove. A much more efficient way of doing that is to insert a hard page break. There's kind of a long way and a short way to do it. I like the short way, of course, keyboard shortcuts. So what you want to do, if I wanted to start the next paragraph, the sunset faded to twilight, if I wanted to start that on a new page, I simply put my cursor exactly where I want to start the new page. I hold my control key down with one hand and press and release the enter key with the other hand, and that forces the new page. So that's a lot quicker than hitting enter a whole bunch of times. Now what you are looking at here, you can see the page break tool. You can see these little backwards P's here. I have my document set to show hide, so that's in the paragraph group. And here's the show hide button. What the show hide button does is it basically displays everything that's going on in your document. So every time you hit a space bar between words, you get a little dot. Every time you hit a paragraph or enter, you get the little backwards P. Every time you hit a page break, it will indicate that you have a page break there. So using the show hide tool is really handy when you want to see what's going on in your document. If you find it too visually distracting, you can simply turn it off by turning it off. So lots of people use it, turn it on and off as they need it. Okay, so there is the page break. Now, if it turned out to remove the page break, it's very simple to do. All I need to do is click anywhere on the page break, and that will insert my cursor. So wherever my cursor is, because my cursor is after the page break, if I hit my backspace key, it will remove the page break, and then backspace again, and it will hit that, delete that extra enter. So that's using the backspace key. You also have a delete key on your keyboard. You may or may not be aware of it. Mac users don't have, Mac users' delete key is basically a backspace key. PC users have both the backspace key and the delete key. So the backspace key, what it does is if I click here, when I hit the backspace key, it deletes anything to the left. Okay? When I hit the delete key, it deletes anything to the right. So another efficient use of your time is to use the backspace and the delete key and figure out which you need to use in any particular situation. It's a lot easier than inadvertently using the backspace key and realizing that you needed to delete and you have to go in and put some text back or hit your undo button or something like that. Okay, next thing is to change the margins. So if you go to the layout ribbon on the just to the right of the home ribbon, click on page layout, there's the margins tool right there. So Word has a lot of preset margins. So the default setting is a normal, what they call normal, which is 1 inch all the way around. There isn't going to be much need for you to be changing margins depending on the kind of document that you are working on. In the legal field, a 1 inch margin is usually typical. but you can certainly play with narrow, moderate, wide, or mirrored. If you want to change one margin but not the others, and you don't have a preset choice here, if you click on custom margins, and what custom margins does is it gives you the option of changing the margins for just top, bottom, left, and right. I'm going to use my tab key to go from one text box to the next. I'm going to change my right margin to 0.75. So I'm simply going to, I'm not even going to hit my delete key. Anytime you have something selected, you can just type right over it and it will replace it. So I'm going to do 0.75 and then hit OK. And what that does is that changed my margin. Now something else that is very, very useful is having the ruler bar open on your document, because that, depending on what you're doing, that can be very, very useful. If you don't have the ruler bar on, if you go to the View tab, and there is the ruler bar right there. Just make sure there's a little check mark in there, and then you are good to go. Okay, the next thing is changing the spacing for some text to 1.5 inch line spacing, double spacing for others, and leaving some single space. There are several different ways that you can use line spacing, or several different ways that you can do line spacing. If you go home, you have in your paragraph dialog box, you have a little icon right here that is line and paragraph spacing. If you're only changing the spacing in one paragraph, you don't have to select anything. All you have to do is just simply click on the paragraph. So my cursor is inside this paragraph here. I'm going to go to the line and spacing drop-down box. I'm going to choose 1.5, and there I am. I have a 1.5 spaced paragraph. Now, if I wanted to space more than one paragraph, I can simply select the information that I want to change the spacing in. Because I haven't selected the entire paragraphs here, I've just selected part of it, but that's all I need to do here. And then go back to the little tool up there and choose double spacing. Okay, so that's very, very simple to do. Another way you can access that is if you go to page layout, and if you go to the paragraph group, and here is spacing right here. Okay, another way you can do that, there are some keyboard shortcuts for that. If you click on a paragraph and you hold your control key down and press and release the number 1 key at the top of your keyboard, not the numeric keypad, but at the top of your keyboard, Control 1, single spaces, Control 2, double spaces, Control 5 does a space and a half. So if you like keyboard shortcuts, that's something else that you can do. Okay, I'm going to cut off this video now, and we'll carry on with the rest of this as this one video is getting a little long.